y'all, Dee here. Got another project that I'm working on for someone. This is a cute little kids table. There's actually 2 more chairs that go with it. And this is veneer on the top of this table, so a little uncertain how this is going to turn out yet. If you'll see, it's got the veneer strip in here. There was a place where it was glued back, and we've already started sanding on this a little bit. The chairs are solid wood, so that shouldn't be an issue. But looking underneath this piece, there's particle board, so it's not an option to take the top of it off. I mean, we could replace the top, but so going to work on sanding it. This table and chair set sanded down about as good as we're going to do. As you can see, this one here was yellow in a previous life, and I guess if you're going to look for a faux archy look, you could leave it like this and just put a clear coat on it. But all of this is going to be in a gray or natural tone. I'm not sure what color we're going to use yet, but it's been sanded. We actually took the leaf blower and blowed off all the dust. And now I'm going to come back with a clean cloth and wipe it down with some damp water and let it dry really good. And then we're going to prime it. So that's going to be our next step. We've got some Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover Flat Gray Primer. If you want to see that, that's what we're going to be using. Going to put a good coat on this since there is still a little paint left on here. Now, I know it kind of looks rough, but just sanded it enough so it would feel smooth. And there wouldn't be any chippiness or grittiness up underneath that. So priming is our next step. Okay, y'all, after all that sanding and all that priming, it's time for spray paint. We're using this Rust-Oleum Ultra Coverage in a satin gray color. It says bonds to plastic, so hopefully it'll help with this Formica top too, but that's actually going to be done in a different color. So here's the legs on it, and we will go back later and add some antiquing glaze to that. So spray painting away. Okay, y'all, working in the shop here tonight. Got a nice good coat of spray paint on these little chairs. And here's the other chairs. They're currently drying. And Mr. Braswell is kindly prepping this over here to be painted. As he says, it's all in the prep work. Which there's a lot of truth to that probably, and sometimes I don't have patience for the prep work. This top here is going to be a different color. I'm going to spray paint it in a nutmeg, and I'm going to try a new technique on this. I'm going to try to make this Formica top, which is currently just has primer on it. I'm going to try to make it look like a wood grain look, even though it's not wood. So I'm real anxious to try that process out. Okay, so here was the chair, first one. And with the process of this dirty rag and Valspar glaze and this nappy brush I got here, this is what the chair looks like after it's been antiqued. So let me just back up here so hopefully you can see the difference between the two. Notice the one on the right is a little bit darker and shows some shading in it. Let me see if I can get a close-up look here. I like to go a little bit darker there in the lines, in the grooves, whatever you want to call that. So that's hopefully what it's going to look like. Got 3 more chairs to do, and while we're over here, these two are dry. Now I do expect these to take the paint a little bit differently, even though it's got the, take the glaze a little bit differently. Even though the paint's the same, this wood is different, and I think it's going to absorb it a little bit different. So, Mr. Braswell here has painted the top of this for me. I know that looks like a funky color, and it does not match gray, but that's just layer one. We've got a process going on here. So, it's a little bit of an experiment, and like I say, I've got a new tool I'm going to use on it that I'm anxious to try. Okay, y'all, get ready to do a little bit more painting here. We finally finished antiquing these chairs, and I love the way these two oak ones turned out. They're a little bit different wood, of course, so it picked up the grooves in this really nice. I love the color on it. Here are the two chairs that originally come with the table. So you'll notice it is a different wood, but I think we got it pretty closely matched up. And this is probably about 3 coats of antiquing, because I couldn't never get the color we wanted, and I couldn't never get it to all match up. So, I also still have left to antique the legs. Right now they're taped up. And while I was doing that, Michael primed this table for me, and he also painted the top of it in this nutmeg satin spray here, Rust-Oleum. And I was going to show you the can of paint that we're getting ready to use. However, we just had a little blooper and knocked it over. So, got my baby wipes, got my paint mess down here, and the only thing I really remember is that the name of it was chocolate something or another. Let me get my Brillo pads here in case I need them, and my towel. I've got this, earlier in the video y'all heard me talking about I was anxious to use this tool. This is a wood grain tool, and it looks like a paintbrush, but you see the little grooves in it there. So I'm gonna get this very good and wet. And y'all, I hadn't used this very often. This is my first use in it, actually. I did just do a little piece of board a while ago to see what it might look like. And from what I understand, you do have to get a lot of paint on it. I'm gonna shake some of that off. I better get my baby wipes on hand just in case. Get back up here. Well, actually, I forgot a step. Let me get my sandpaper. Since this has such a smooth finish, Michael did such a good job on painting it for me, I want to rough it up a little bit. So this is actually an old piece of sandpaper that I used for something else, and this is a fine grade, it's not real coarse. So I just want to kind of lightly pull this through just to rough it up a little bit. And create these lines in it. So. What do you think, Mike? Is that too much or not enough?
That's enough.
I'll flip it over here. I almost forgot to do this step. I got so preoccupied about the paint spilling over. And no sense crying over spilt paint. It is what it is. Main thing is that we got enough to do this project. And we do. As I mentioned earlier, this is a Formica top. Unfortunately, I couldn't sand it down and give it a nice wood grain look, so I'm trying to give it a fake wood look. Wipe this dust off of that just a little bit. Hopefully, that's gonna see the difference there. I don't know how well that picked up on the video. Okay, now let me go back over here to this. Shake it off just a little bit. And I'm going to go start in the center actually with this. And I'm going to roll it back and forth. Now this color is a chocolate color, But I sure hope it dries chocolate, because right now it looks purple to me. All right, notice I'm starting with the opposite side now, because I don't want all these patterns to run together. And I need to get a little bit more paint on my brush, obviously. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back on this in just a minute. Go back here. And do another step or two. See how it creates that wood grain pattern? So we don't have wood, but we're gonna fake it till we make it. Let's see, I forgot which side I started on. Okay, I got started on this side this time. And I'm just pulling it and rocking it back and forth. Pulling it and rocking it. That one's a little crooked, but it'll be all right. I'm actually gonna go ahead and cover the whole thing. And, whoops. I got out of line there. It's all right. Okay. Woo, y'all, this is an experiment and a half. What in the world is gonna happen? I do not like the way this color looks right now. I'm praying that it's gonna dry well. Yeah. And I got to get used to this brush. Okay, let me get ready to get in front of you now, Michael. I'm gonna zigzag back and forth. Okay. Go ahead and get this end. I just about need a lazy Susan where I can turn this thing around, don't I? Needs to be on wheels. Oh, that one's gonna drip. Let me get my towel. This paint is really thin. A lot thinner than what I would like. I'm probably going to go back and blend some other colors in here because wood's got different colors and I'm not loving this color right now. Alright, so I got this adhesive tool here, adhesive spreader, and it's got 4 different sides on it, as you can see. I'm going to take this thinnest one here, or it's not the thinnest one, the small tooth one I should say, and I'm going to, just like right there, I'm going to go down on some of this and see if I can make it look a little bit more natural looking. I'm gonna fake it till we make it. Well, I like the tool. I just don't know if I like it on this laminate. I just don't know how it's gonna work. And I hope this paint's gonna stick to it, but we do have good primer and we do have a good coat of base coat under this. I don't know, what do y'all think? Is that, oh, I need to straighten this up for. Does that look like wood? I know I've made a mess down here though. Ooh, I've made a mess. There we go. don't know, y'all. I don't know. Definitely not loving this way this paint's going on. And I'm definitely not loving this color. I'm hoping by the time I blend the other colors in, I'm just gonna go over there and get these edges. Good. Maybe that got it. Alright, I think I'm gonna take this little uneven brush I got here and go back on some of these thick parts and kind of work them in a little bit where it's not, well, by working in I mean thinning it out. Probably gonna let this dry overnight and come back tomorrow and play with it some more. Yeah, that almost made it. Too thin. But we live and learn. I want it to have a little muted look to it, and I also want it to be a lot darker than what it currently is. It's really thick right there, so I'm probably going to take that tool and go over it again right there. I don't want it to have knots, wood-looking knots in it all over, but I don't know. I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't love it right now. Hopefully we'll get there. Looks a little bit like wood. Let me turn this on. Mess going on. I'll take this back over it a little bit in places and see what happens. Some of these thicker spots. Yeah, I like that better. What do you think? I'm not zigzagging with that this time. I think I'm just turning this brush a little bit instead. Or tool, I should say. I got a crooked board there. All right, y'all, I'm gonna let that dry overnight and come back and play with it again tomorrow night. And we'll see, hopefully this color is gonna turn out to be a dark brown chocolate espresso type color is what I'm going for, especially since these chairs are in a gray. So let it dry and we'll come back and play with it again later. All right, y'all. Getting to the end now, getting into the short rows of finishing this table. It is all dry. The color did darken up just a little bit, but it's still not quite what I want, but I am going to antique it anyway, so hopefully after I antique it, it's going to give me the color I'm trying to achieve. As you know, woods, real woods have all kinds of colors mingled into them, so that is the goal there, and to have the variation in the lines, but again, I want it to be a little darker, so I'm going back with my antiquing glaze, and I like to work out of the lid on this so I don't get too much. And I'm just gonna kind of put it on thick and let it sit a minute, because I have found that this paint that we use does not absorb it very well. And keeping still with that same grain. I'm really afraid to put it on too thick, but I probably need a wider brush to do this with, but this will be all right. This one's already dirty. Just doesn't want to take it right there for some reason. That's okay, that's okay. Just want to kind of easy work it back and forth. There's just a little bit of bubbling in this under layer, but I think it's going to be all right. I don't want to mess with it too much and mess it up. I'm actually doing this for someone else, and they wanted the gray undertones, and really I think she just wanted gray all over, but since the top was Formica, I was afraid that it would not take paint well. So this is my first time painting on Formica. I'm hoping that it'll stay. Especially since it's a child's table, I'm sure it's going to take a lot of beating and banging. Get that right there. But as far as that tool goes, that new tool that I had, I like it. I think if I work with it some, I'll be able to master it. Now that looks like a lot of different colors going in there. Go back and fill in some of this. And this is just the same Valspar antique and glaze that I used on everything else. Filling in some spots here. But you can see the different colors. That's what I wanted. Now I'm going to take this little tool, I think, that has the fine, and just kind of, I want to make a few more lines in it, I think. Just real light. And then I'm going to go back with a dry brush, a clean brush, and blend some of this in. That kind of marked it up right there, didn't I? But that's okay. Let me get my dry brush. Just kind of blend this a little bit and wipe off some of this excess. I can't even talk. Excess. Oh, I like the colors that it's coming through. It's beginning to look like real wood. Still a little bit of bubbling there though. The only thing that'll be left to do with this after it dries well is we're going to clear coat it just to offer some protection on it. And that should finish it up. Let me flip this brush over. Alright, still may need to play with it some more, but it looks better. Looks better than it did 24 hours ago, I think. A little clear coating going on, y'all. Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover Matte Clear. Let's get it dry. There's a wood in it now. Some lights in it.